obviously I don't drink anymore. So obviously alcohol led to other stuff, which I really did have a problem with.
Yeah.
But when I was in relationships and stuff, it was like, I can snap at a flick of a switch now, but I'm starting to understand what happens. But when alcohol's involved, it's like you don't realise that build-up. You don't have that anxious feeling. You just lose your shit.
And it can come on so quickly. That's what used to happen to me as well. Like you think you're fine, and then like you've got a few drinks in, you start to feel really good, and then a few more come in, and that's when you don't realise that all those other kind of anxious things are starting to creep up as well.
But alcohol's a depressant as well, and people don't realise that. So it might stimulate you for a little bit, but once you get past a certain level,
it just drops you off, doesn't it?
Crash.
I don't really have any anymore, to be fair. Like it's sometimes on special occasions, like obviously at the wedding and stuff. But
I bet you didn't get drunk at your wedding.
Oh yeah.
Did you?
Oh my god, yeah. Irish wedding, I couldn't stay away from it.
Oh.
No, not too bad though.
Proper 12.
You'll do fucking nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. Since not drinking and stopping everything else, like I've had many times where I've like gone back to it and stuff, just when I've been feeling down, and it's only when I've been feeling down that I've gone back to that.
You kind of think that'll still work.
Yeah, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
I just turn into a creature for 12 hours.
Yeah, literally. I think when you kind of see what you like when you've not had anything for a while, you kind of start to realise that you've been using it just as like a faulty coping mechanism, really.
Yeah. And it doesn't even make you feel good. No, it doesn't make me feel good anymore.
It just stops you feeling shit for a little bit, but it don't bring you up at all. Yeah, exactly. It's just hiding from stuff.
The cold tub, because I've started doing that every morning, even though I don't want to some mornings.
Yeah.
And you've got to, I just say to myself, like, it's 3 minutes of your life.
It's done after that.
Just get in.
You know what it's going to do for you when you've got it out of the way as well.
And I think that helps your tablets as well. I think that helps your medication, because I go in before my tablets.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of like, I don't know, it like wakes you up, so you don't rely on your tablets to wake you up.
Yeah, definitely.
And you do just feel good. And exercise is key for anyone with ADHD or whatever.
100%. I've been struggling like with the routine side of things. So like before I got diagnosed, obviously I'd think, right, I've got to be in the gym doing this really regimented thing, and I've got to follow it and keep it the same and gradually build it up. And every time you lose interest, you start thinking, is this just because I'm like not disciplined?
Then you
beat
beat yourself up as well.
Exactly.
And then you just don't want to do it because you're not doing it to
exactly. And then when you start tailoring it to the way that your brain works, and you think like, right, bite-sized bits, mix it up, keep it interesting, just focus on why you're doing it instead. Unless
you want to get like ripped or massive or whatever. I mean, that takes a lot of dedication and hard work.
It's cool to have those goals as well, but I think for most people with ADHD, it's like we're either not doing any, or we're thinking we need to be going like balls to the wall.
All or nothing, black or white.
Yeah,
it literally is. But that's with everything. Like I've started golfing now, which it's all right. I quite enjoy it. But I know I'm going to fall out of love with it probably in a couple of months.
Eventually.
But fortunately, I haven't gone out and spent thousands and thousands of pounds, which I would have done with anything
else. At least you've got the kit now for when you feel like doing it again.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing golf now?
So I've been the driving range a couple of times with my dad. I mean, we've had a couple of rounds of golf. It's nice as well because I get to spend time with him.
Yeah.
And I get to...
The social side of stuff as well.
Yeah, well, since I was like 16 and started like... When I was like 18, 19, I just moved out like with ex-girlfriends and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I wanted this freedom. But then I realised when I have my freedom, I just spend more money.
Yeah.
So.
And the executive dysfunction's way worse because there's not like an external routine anymore.
And obviously back then it was like party central. So every house I had, it was just partying.
Yeah.
All the time. Had to be the life and soul of the party. Had to be liked by everyone. It was all like stupidly expensive designer clothes. And now I'm quite happy in me Jordans and Attentives. Like literally, when I say all I wear is Attentive, it literally is, because
you can see why. To be fair,
it's so comfortable, and it's probably a sense of pride as well. Even though I don't
100%.
feel proud, I must feel a sense of pride. I just don't know what being proud of myself is, but that's something again I'm trying to work on and trying to love myself. I always thought loving yourself, you're arrogant.
Same,
but it's not at all.
I always thought it was narcissism if you loved yourself. Like that's what I got told a narcissist was. It's people that just love themselves.
No.
It's like, actually it fucking isn't. Like narcissists don't really like themselves that much, and they're hiding from a lot of that shit. So like learning to be proud of what you're doing and actually loving yourself is
there's there is a lot of traits with narcissism and ADHD and even borderline personality disorder, but the difference is we are very empathetic and we feel stuff after like a meltdown or a rage or whatever. Whereas narcissists don't.
Yeah, they just don't care about the harm that they're causing.
I don't even think they realise they're doing it unless they're like a self-aware narcissist.
which is a rare one, I'd say.
But like the worst bit, like obviously when you kick off or when you have a meltdown, that's horrendous because you feel awful. But then when you do calm down and your brain starts working properly,
yeah, you can actually filter through it after you've kind of hit that overwhelm point.
But that's the worst bit because that's when I start feeling depressed, and that's when I start feeling suicidal. And
you just switch from one to other, don't you? You go from being like way over the top annoyed and blowing up, and then you just like crash.
But it's hard to explain to someone, like literally when you feel overstimulated or you feel rejected or you feel abandoned, the front part of your brain, which basically controls executive dysfunction and all your moods and emotions, just literally switches off.
Yeah,
there is no logical thinking.
No inhibition. You can't really filter your way through it. And
so the things you say and do, like if you say, I'm horrible with my tongue when I get like that. Yeah. And obviously I've smashed stuff up over the years. And
same.
It's very hard to explain to someone, oh, that's not me, but because they've still experienced that.
Yeah, they've seen you doing that. Like they don't get that that's a side of you that isn't really reflective of what you like or what you want. Like that's something that you probably hate more than them.
Yeah, but we're able to like get over it quicker as well.
Yeah, people
hold on to that because you've been this dickhead.
Yeah.
Even though it's not you and it's not who you are as a person, because we are normally like, I'm extremely kind and I've been very generous to people over the years.
Empathetic, caring.
But that it's like I've always called myself Jekyll and Hyde. I think that's what my next tattoo is going to be on like the back of my legs or something.
Yeah.
Mr. Hyde needs to like sort his shit out, like just needs to pipe down. And to be fair, through this therapy that I'm doing, the schema therapy, it is really, really, really helping. Like to the point where I've gone home a couple of times, I've just cried because I'm just like stuff starting to make sense.
Actually coming to terms with it all as well. What is this schema therapy that you're getting involved in? Like, what is that?
So it's classed as like a CBT, but I was trying to do DBT. But it's really hard to come by, and that's normally in like a group setting. But I've gone private through work. I couldn't find it anywhere. I found one woman and she pulled out saying I'm overwhelmed, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But it's like talking to your inner child and realizing what your schemas are. So the film Inside Out is all about schemas.
Yeah.
So it's basically naming your moods and emotions and allowing them to happen, but not letting them take over, sort of thing.
Yeah. Actually letting yourself feel it instead of like reacting to the feeling.
Yeah. She describes it as your front part's like an owl, which is wise, and then the back part of your brain, which is like a meerkat, so that's like your fight or flight response.
Your vigilance.
So it's always on lookout, which with us, we are constantly on the lookout for dangers or perceived dangers.
Yeah.
And then the middle bit's like your elephant, which is like, it's humble and stuff, but it can also be enraged when you want to. So I've got my background on my phone's now me as a kid.
Nice.
So you've got to like talk to your inner child and explain you're safe and whatever's triggered you it's not actually a danger.
Yeah, it's not actually causing any harm to you.
Because obviously everyone's got schemas, whether you don't, think you don't, struggle with mental health, everyone's got them.
Everyone's got it.
It's stuff you've been through in your life, even whether you've had a good upbringing or not. Like I had a brilliant upbringing. I didn't think I had trauma to be able to be diagnosed with BPD, but not knowing you've got ADHD for years, and
it's bound to leave some marks, isn't it?
Being a very, very emotional person, and probably having meltdowns which I didn't know because of my clothes or because of sound or just external stimuli.
Yeah, because you don't actually know about the differences in your brain. That's when people see you as being like too sensitive or you're overreacting. It's like, actually I'm not. This is my brain's way of doing this shit, and I need to find ways to work through that instead of just being told that it shouldn't be happening. Yeah, I've been told I'm too intense far since like loads of times. Like you're too intense, you're too emotional. Imagine being told you're too emotional. Yeah. Someone who's highly empathetic. Exactly, and feels a lot of emotion that changes a lot. Yeah. And told that I was too sensitive because it's like, right, so I shouldn't be feeling this way. So then you're constantly fighting against how you actually feel and you're just out of sync with it all. I think as men as well, like we're obviously in a lot better position now in the world, but getting there. There's this massive stigma that men just have to sort of get on with it. Yeah. And there's a lot of the older generation, like even my dad and stuff, like he's under the influence where it's like, oh, you just got to get over it. And it's like, you can't, if your brain's completely wired different. And being told not everything's your ADHD when it is really. Yeah, it's your brain. It literally controls how your nervous system operates. And there's like brain scans and stuff which basically says this is a neurotypical brain and this is a neurodivergent brain, and it's completely different. Totally. And when you're triggered,
nerve endings just stop. The nerve pathways just completely stop.
It's not operating as it should be.
But I found out so much. Like I said, I think I finally got the final piece of my puzzle now.
Yeah,
it's just working through it. But I'll get there.
It's all time though, isn't it? I mean, especially when you're late diagnosed as well, you've spent so long thinking that you're one way, and then the big thing for me, like after I got diagnosed, was coming to terms with the fact that I've actually been different this entire time and not known.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to unlearn everything you've known about yourself and then learn how to do it the way that works.
And things that you've done and said and this, that and the other, you have to like forgive yourself for.
100%.
And that's hard, especially when I've caused a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Like verbally and like physically. It's like, it's really hard to not hate yourself.
And other people aren't really that forgiving as well.
No.
Even once you have been diagnosed, I think people can be a bit like, oh, well, it don't make it right that you did this.
No, and it doesn't make it right.
I'm not saying it was.
It's not an excuse. It's
exactly,
never an excuse.
Exactly. It just explains these things. And I think when you have the answers and you can explain it in the right way, you can start to make amends with your past mistakes, the way you used to do things. And until you actually start being kinder to those parts of yourself, you don't really start changing it. But
which is what that schema therapy does.
Exactly. It's just helping you get used to the way that you actually need to handle all these things.